And now taking a look at some court news from Danville, Virginia, Cardinal News is reporting that it's been more than 2 years since the federal courthouse in Danville hosted a criminal trial involving defendants or witnesses who were in custody. That's because of much needed improvements to the facility and inadequate security. And without some much needed improvements, it could close entirely. Now, the courthouse opened back in 1932. According to federal judge Thomas Cullen, there have been no meaningful renovations in almost 15 years that he's been traveling there in order to hear cases. The courtroom is located on the second floor of the Danville Post Office. The courtroom itself is large, well lit, and it has high ceilings. But the same can't be said for the rest of the floor, which has empty rooms with peeling paint, forgotten furniture, typewriters that haven't been used for decades, and leaking ceilings. On top of these issues is inadequate security, which is the main reason that the federal courthouse had to stop hearing certain kinds of cases. Now, the building needs better security measures if it's ever going to see criminal trials with in-custody defendants or witnesses again. But conversations to initiate renovations have so far led nowhere. Judge Cullen said the long-term risk is if the issues aren't resolved, Danville's federal courthouse could close. The courthouse serves the cities of Danville and Martinsville, as well as Henry, Patrick, Pennsylvania, Halifax, and Charlotte counties, and is in the same judicial district as the Big Stone Gap Federal Courthouse, which is being closed by the U.S. General Services Administration, the entity that manages federal property. Now, Judge Cullen says if the Danville Federal Courthouse closes, the district divisions would need to be readjusted, and likely half of the Danville division would be relocated to Roanoke, while the other half would go to Lynchburg. Also, in the Western District of Virginia are courthouses in Abington, Charlottesville, and Harrisonburg. Cullen said closure of the Danville courthouse is a very real risk if something doesn't change. About 2 years ago, the U.S. Marshal Service, in charge of protecting federal courthouses and judges and for transporting defendants to court, decided to halt certain trials in Danville due to inadequate security measures. Instead, those criminal trials with people in custody are being held in Danville's circuit court. But Judge Cullen said closure of the Danville courtroom is a real risk if something doesn't change. Now, there is a lot more to this story, including the history and the possibility of renovations, and you can read more about it in Cardinal News. We've included a link to this story from our Star News TV Facebook page.